Hello everyone, I hope that you are having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. I just decided that I should probably do like a 6-month update for working since it is my first year and halfway through a full year. Of course, I'm more through the school year since we get out in June and it is March. So only 3 more months, but I've been working for 6 months, because we started in August and the kids weren't back until September, which that's going to change next year. But I just want to talk a little bit about things that maybe have changed for me or things that I've noticed, pretty much just how everything is going 6 months into working as a first-year school psychologist. I will tell you, when you first go in, I liked going a month before the kids, just having your orientation, meeting everyone, especially since I went to a different state because I really didn't know what to expect or what was going on. I just came from Pennsylvania and I'm going to Virginia. I'm like, what's the same? What's different? And just kind of slowly getting into, okay, this is where I'm gonna be, this is who I'll go to because they give us a mentor, all of that stuff. Fast forward 6 months into the future, I would say that I feel more confident in what I'm doing. I still sometimes question certain things just because I want to make sure that I am doing things right. I don't want to do anything wrong. But the nice thing is that, I have a mentor. There's a bunch of school psychologists in the district. And if I just message one of them, they'll have a meeting with me, come in or whatever, and we can talk about it. And I think the more that I did that and the more they were telling me like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I would do, or this shouldn't have happened and I handled that, made me feel more confident, because of course you're not going to know everything. You're never going to know everything about what you should do for your job. But the longer you work, the better you feel about it. And the more things that you learn, because you get different cases, different kids, different disabilities, and all of that you can just put in your knowledge. Also, if you guys hear, my dog's walking. She's walking over to her bed right now. That's what all that noise was in the back. She was like that. Anyway, I got so off topic. I also realized that something I found really important is, especially if it's an initial evaluation, of course you don't want to over-test a kid, but you want to make sure that you have all the information and kind of check it as you go. So I'll give you an example. So usually I give an achievement, a cognitive, and then some sort of rating scale to the teacher. Depending on the age, I might give it to the student, but I haven't lately just because it really depends, case to case. But anyway, so I score those two things. Then I score whatever rating scale I give the teacher, right? And certain things might be questionable or I need more information on it. So then I go back and ask for more detail. By doing that, I'm like, oh man, maybe I gave them an ADHD worksheet or rating scale, and I probably should have gave them an adaptive scale to see how they function on their day-to-day living. So then I'm like, okay, here, can you do this too? And then I score that. But what I could have done is I could have just gave a shortened Connors for ADHD, adaptive scale in general, just because it's an initial. I want to make sure you rule things out. I could have interviewed, the student. So all those things, it's instead of just doing a couple things, going back and then being like, oh, I should have added that, which I did a lot of in the beginning. I'm starting to get the hang of, okay, if it's an initial, I'm just going to automatically give them all of this stuff so that I have all that data and I don't have to try to scramble to find them and have them do more when the teachers thought they were done. Another tip with rating scales, especially if they're at a middle school, since they have a bunch of different teachers, give the same one or different ones to multiple teachers so that you get a lot of different data from places, since they might act one way, for example, in math class, and then act a different way in English. They might be doing better in history, you know, like you never know. So the more you collect, the better. And I feel like with rating skills, that doesn't affect the student's education in the sense of you're pulling them from class. Like if I'm testing a kid, then I'm pulling them away from what they're learning. But if I give extra rating scales, for example, it's not pulling the kid away from what they're learning. The same thing though, if I did want to test a kid to get more information on other things, I should just kind of have that planned out already if I think they'll need it. But my usual go-to is the cognitive and the achievement. Another thing is I realize what I do and don't do and how that really varies state to state. So it seems like what I do is test kids, check in with kids, help teachers, like if teachers need help with their students, and finding resources for parents. But for me, I feel like that's usually in a meeting. I'm noticing like a parent might have a question about something and I can just put my input. Compared to when I was in Pennsylvania, I felt like we're doing a lot of stuff that is overlapping here with other jobs. So like we would call the parent, interview them. We would go to each teacher and actually interview them and go to the students, since I was at a high school, and we'd have a certain checklist of questions to ask them. Also doing an observation. Well, here it's like, okay, the counselor does the observation, the social worker calls home. I do the testing and give like a rating scale to the teachers. It's also much different when you have multiple schools. So I feel like my time isn't, well, it's not even like I feel like, it's just not 100% at one school. So I have to pick and choose, well, what's most important, what do I need to get done? And usually that tends to be the testing, depending on the time of the year. But still, like checking in with students, compared to, I feel like if I was at one school, yeah, I'd be testing, checking with students and all the stuff that I'm doing now. But I feel like I'd be able to be more focused and trying to work with that school. Like, you know, maybe trying to do more tier 1 things, like trying to get the school more involved in this, or have a new program with that, or helping little things that might be happening in other classrooms, or if like there's a bullying problem in the school, you know, trying to focus on those things. But when I have 2 schools and I'm there, one 2 days a week, the other 3 days a week, I just personally don't find that possible to do. And if I did focus a lot on the one school, I feel like then I'd be leaving the other school hanging, and I don't think that's fair either. But I don't want to ramble on. I just want to kind of give an update of like what I thought in the beginning and how I was kind of nervous. And I mean, that's given. You're just starting to work, you don't know what to expect, so you are nervous, you know, and you do learn as you go. But I just think it's good for new school psychs to know that they aren't alone, whether you're working in the same state that you did your program in, or if you move somewhere. You're gonna be nervous, you're gonna have questions, but just stick in there and know that each month you'll know a little more, but you're not gonna know everything ever, and that's okay. You're gonna feel comfortable in what you're doing, and hopefully you do have like a strong support network. Like I'm the only school psych in both of my schools, but like I said, there's other school psychs in the district, and I have those people to go to. And I also have my friends from grad school that I can message. We can relate our first year experiences. But I just think that you learn more things as time goes on, and I just kind of wanted to point out things that I've learned and things that I'm doing and things that I see that are different from internship to now, from when I first started working to now. And I didn't even finish my whole first year yet. So I hope that this is helpful, and I hope that you enjoyed it. And if there is a question that you have that maybe I didn't go over, just about working your first year in general, feel free to ask down below and I'll answer as best as I can. But I really truly appreciate all of you guys, and thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.